Hello, Star Family. We are live. Wow, we already have 100 people in the house, which is super awesome. I was telling my Instagram community now I wasn't planning on going on YouTube today because we just posted that 2020 video, but you can't help but receive flurries of downloads, and I've been getting a lot of downloads today, and it's all surrounding the topic of love and much more than that. We're going to go in depth. So there's a lot of little nuances in the messages that I received, and I'm going to break it down for you guys because this is going to be a prominent theme in the coming weeks. So I just want to give you guys the toolkits that you can add to your toolbox, and that way you feel equipped and that you're on your game, that you are aware of what's coming up so that can be on your radar. So we're going to wait maybe one more minute and we're going to start. Thank you guys for joining me today. I haven't done an energy update in quite a while, and those usually get the most views. But of course, because I'm not a phony, I don't just do things to get views. So I haven't done one because I haven't felt inspired to. And today I'm feeling inspired to. So I'll give you guys some good intel that you can apply in your lives. Oh, my phone is like right here on the screen. Nice. Okay. You know what? I'm going to just get off Instagram because there were a lot of people on Instagram, but the truth is it drains my battery every time I leave my phone on there for the people on Instagram. And I'm like, you guys need to get on the bandwagon. So if you want to see when I go live, if you want to be notified, you have to subscribe to my channel. That's just the only way, because everything I do is impromptu. It's off the cuff. And I don't want to keep draining my iPhone if people don't want to subscribe. So thank you, Susan. And we have 515 people in the house. Let me just make sure that I at least shared the live. Yeah, so I just shared the live. So you guys, earlier on, I was at the car wash. And I was sitting on this really comfortable chair, and I wrote something along the lines of, get ready for people from your past to DM you. They're going to try to slide into your DMs, or people from your past, whether that be an ex or just someone that you had, someone that you were starting to acquaint yourself with, whether that be online or someone that was in another city. And there was a connection, but it wasn't cultivated. A lot of those people may be reappearing in your hologram. So I was at this car wash, and what inspired me to post that was that last night, someone that I was pretty interested in a few years ago, we were chatting consistently, okay? So on Facebook, we were in touch, and this person said that they couldn't wait to move to LA to get to know me. And then it just kind of dropped away. And I think they've been here for a year. And last night, they sent me a DM and they were like, I still can't believe that we haven't met. And I said, I can believe it, because I believe that when the universe is orchestrating something that is meant for us, it's not that difficult. And I shared it with love, so it wasn't like in a vindictive, hostile way, because I don't even remember. Like, it's, you know how when you chat with someone for like a month and then they drop away and then you don't care, like you move on with your life. That's kind of the vibe here. So a DM is a direct message, Nicola. So this person's messaged me and they were like, we should definitely meet. And I said something to the effect of, I'm sure that if we're meant to, we will. I've been living a life where I'm not really trying to exert any force anymore, and I've been bumping into really cool people and getting to know really good people. And they said, well, does that mean you don't want me to call you, or that you just let it happen organically? And I said, well, that's up to you, because I'm good either way. And I'm being very honest. Anyways, so that happened last night, and I eventually said it'd be great to meet and get to know each other. Now, I'm at this car wash today, and then I go outside to get my car, and this guy stops me and starts talking to me. and a handsome guy. And he's like, hey, I'd love to get your number. I'm like, wow, okay. So I just wrote something on YouTube about this, and now this person is approaching me and snatching my number. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm all about being open and receptive to things. And I came home, and I was the one to send them a message and saying, and I said, it was nice to meet you today. And they proceeded to say, you were really sexy. I just had to get your number. And I said, thank you. I'm flattered. I said, first off, I have to ask you, are you single or are you in a relationship? And they said, oh, I'm actually just coming out of a relationship. It's not terminated completely yet. And I said, okay, so what are you looking for exactly? And they said, well, just to make friends. And then I said, well, there's a difference between thinking I'm sexy and not keeping your eyes off me and saying that you just want to make friends. And right now, I'm not really available for much in my life because my plate is full, but I would definitely be open to getting to know each other whenever you're done with that relationship. So the reason I'm on here today is because I woke up with this feeling, and that could have been because of what happened to yesterday, but I've been feeling it for a week. For many years, we've been in an introverted space, and I feel like the tide is turning now. I know for me, I've been a hermit for the last 2 years, and I have that social butterfly aspect in me. I love to be with people, and I love to banter and have fun, but I also love to honor my light body. And my light body was advising me against socializing the last 2 years. And this last week, I've been feeling a shift in the energy. It's almost like we're being moved back outside. Like our universe has been pointing us inside, and now our universe wants to go back out. It wants us to go back out, but from that integrated place, from that place of embodying your higher self. So this energy update is very much relative to embodying your higher self. We are not here to be these humans anymore who channel the higher self. We're always going to do that. But the theme for this month is to embody your higher self and be your higher self. And a lot of people are sometimes off-put by me because I like to pick things apart before we jump into that pool of love and excitement and getting to know each other. I've always been someone who likes to dissect things and understand where people are coming from before we dive into the heart. And from another perspective, that is the heart, but it's the high heart, and it's also the higher mind. So whenever people say to you things like, oh, you overanalyze, don't necessarily subscribe to their belief, because I don't see it as analysis. I see it as you're becoming your higher self. It's kind of like when you're weighing out options as to what to do or what to eat or where to travel. You timeline jump. You're able to vision into, if I walk through door one, this and this and this will happen. If I walk through door two, this and that will happen. It's like a domino effect. And that's a very divine ability that is inherent to us that we don't use enough, that we don't implement enough. I call it the higher mind. It's not coming from a place of ego. It's coming from a place of, we've been fostering our psychic abilities for a couple of years now. We've been really fine-tuning that frequency of clairvoyantly seeing into agendas or ulterior motives and all of these things. And now our universe is asking us to prove it. Can you be this person in the world? Can you reintegrate yourself into 3D or into 5D, New Earth, but with this fortification of your soul, without reverting to your old ways of, oh, okay, I'll give this a chance blindly and see where we go, like a horse with blinders. And then you find yourself enmeshed with another person, and you create all of this emotional, unhealthy bondage with them. So the message I was getting today was, because sometimes people are off put by me because I'm very clear. Like, I'm one of those guys, we need to be clear. I like to compartmentalize things. Am I sexy, or are you looking for a friend? Like, and I'm not saying it can't be both, but the initial text was very flirtatious. And if you're still in a relationship, I'm not really gelling with that. I'm not. Like, figure that out, tie up your loose ends. And once you're done, I'm open to friendship or something more. but I'm not interested in getting encased in this dysfunctional 3D emotional bondage, codependency, need drama, and still acting on trauma energy. That's over. That's been over for me for like 10 years. I don't play that game. I'm very clear. Now, if someone is very quick to back off and they're like, oh, never mind, I shouldn't have messaged you, and they get really reactionary, what my guides wanted me to tell you is they're not resilient enough for you. They're not ready to keep up with you vibrationally. Now, your human aspect is going to go, oh, does that make me a bad person? Should I feel guilty for wanting clarity? And what I'm saying to you now is absolutely not. You need coherence in this life in order to make wise choices. So it's not necessarily that your universe is going to examine you and put you through this cosmic pop quiz. It's more so that you have to become the universe now. You have to become this higher self aspect in physical form and pick things apart before you decide if you're going to jump into that pool. And that does not make you a bad person. For me, if I ask a few questions just to kind of take the person's pulse, and then they're like, oh, never mind, I shouldn't have done that. That is indicative of trauma that they haven't addressed yet. If you're that easily off-put by me by asking just very objective questions to gain more clarity around the situation, we're definitely not a match. It's called maturity. It's like when you sit down with someone at a date and you want to have a child, you may ask them, hey, are you wanting to have children in this life? Should you feel guilty for asking that? No, you've worked hard for this. You've earned your power. You've reclaimed your power, and you have a right to ask people questions. Society will tell you that you're I don't know, too hard, or you're too cold and you're icing them out. I would completely disagree. Because if you're not coming from a place of judgment, right? Like with this person last night who DM'd me, I was sincerely saying, I really believe that the universe will orchestrate it if it's meant to be. And if we haven't met in 1 year since you've been here, maybe it's not meant to be. I mean, to me, it's not rocket science. If you're interested in someone, the second they move, they should let you know. And then you guys make it happen. It's not rocket science. Now, some people might say, oh, but there's a timing to all things. And I would agree. That's why my door isn't closed. My door isn't closed. But remember, people reach out to you sometimes when they're bored. Humans, and I call them humans or muggles or earth dwellers, people who are still operating within a third dimensional mindset, they complicate everything. They feel a need to DM you. They feel a need to do all these things. And I'm not saying that these platforms aren't to be utilized to maximize relationship and to, I want to say, exponentiate the possibility of meeting someone. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the universe is asking us now more than ever to really let go of everything and see what wants to stick around and see what wants to arrive. But it's not that difficult. Hey, you want to hang out? Cool, let's do it. The universe is wanting us to cut out all the noise, all the stuff that could get you in trouble. It can get you in it can kind of make you backpedal into who you used to be. So what would be the purpose of doing all this spiritual work if you don't apply it? You have to implement the work that you're doing. And from my perspective, I think it's beautiful when someone wants to gain clarity as to why you guys are on a date, what you're looking for in life. Because out of respect, you don't want to waste their time and you don't want your own time to be wasted. And I'm one of those people. I run a tight ship. I maybe have 2 slots in my life that are open for love or that are open for an additional friend. But the truth is, like, I'm in acceptance of my journey. And my journey requires that I be very focused on you guys, on my readings, on myself, on my family. which is why I don't always respond to emails, because I just don't have the vibrational currency or the electricity running through my body to be able to tend to everyone all the time. And I've also found beauty in that. Coming to terms with the fact that I'm not a superhero, that I can only do so much, but that I do have access to superhero energy, and that superhero energy will inspire me what it is that I'm meant to do. But our universe right now is asking us to be in full trust, in full communion with our guides, with our angels, with our higher self, and say, if something is meant to arrive forth into my life, if something is supposed to sail in, it will, whether I'm on social media or not, because I believe in the power of God. I believe that God was there before social media, and I believe that God is still in social media. But then if God is still in social media, it's up to you to be your higher self and to get inquisitive. I'm not saying interview someone to where you're intimidating them. I'm saying, hey, so what inspired you to reach out? Like, what's going on? Because humans who are still in 3D right now are really freaking out. They're freaking out. They're pulling teeth to remain afloat. So of course they're going to gravitate to your light if they see that you're leading a peaceful life and that you're carrying a high frequency. Of course they are. But is that intention pure? Unconsciously, it's not always pure. There are entities that work through people. There are certain traumas that they haven't released. And so you're kind of like the lighthouse, and they see you and they're going to flock to you. But what's in it for you? You want to make sure that they're going to offer you a similar frequency of equal measure. You know, it's like anything in life. If I go to your restaurant, I'm paying for a service. If you want to have children, you want to make sure that the person's going to be on the same page as you. And it's not rocket scientists, but what people do is they go, but he was perfect. And maybe I don't want children anymore. He was perfect. Maybe I don't want children anymore. And now I'm confused because I want children, but maybe if I stick around with him long enough, he'll change his mind. That's what I mean. That's demonic. That's all the entities that are like convincing you otherwise when you already knew what you wanted from the get-go. When your frequency is really sharp and really clear, undistorted, you just know what you want in life. And that does not make you a bad person. It means that you have a certain set of virtues and values and desires that you want to achieve in this life. But humans overcomplicate everything, which is why I said when the person asked me yesterday, well, so do you want me to just stop messaging you and maybe see if we meet in person through the universe? I said, I'm okay with either because I really am. That's how much trust I have in my universe. And that remark alone was low vibrational to me. So it's like, cool, I'm good with or without you. And I know I sound like mean saying that right now, but it's true. I don't need anything to fulfill me. This is about upholding a vibrational frequency that repels anything that would waste your time. Woo! And you guys, please, if there are 1 to 5 minute increments in this video that you like, I like to post previews to Instagram, okay? So what did I just say? So give me that exact time frame, if you can. It's about upholding a vibrational frequency that will repel anything that would waste your time. It is not personal, it is vibrational. You guys know that's my go-to quote. It's not personal, it's vibrational. Vibration, the more that you strengthen your vibration, all right, relative to what you want in life, what you're trying to spit out into your reality in terms of manifestation, the clearer that vibration is, the more responsive your universe will become. It's like when you ask, hey, is this green or blue? Or is this pink or yellow? When you ask very specific questions, you get a specific answer. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you see a salad that you like, I hate salad, by the way. I hate anything healthy. But if you if you go to a restaurant and you are asking for, or you're looking at the menu and you see a salad, and then the waiter comes over and you're like, hey, so what are your thoughts on this salad? That's a very like vague question. Okay. So they might say it's really good, da, 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 da. But if you go, hey, what exactly is in the salad? And how would you rate it from 1 to 10? You're getting more specific. That's because the question has a finer frequency. So for me, I liken my third eye to being like this magnetic marble. It's a magnetic marble. And you guys can go watch You Are a Magnetic Being if you haven't watched that yet. It's a magnetic marble. And the more precise I get with how I want to feel, what I want to attract, and how that would connect me to what I want to feel, and so forth and so forth, the more specific I get, the more magnetic this little marble in my forehead becomes. It's like a device. It's like technology. And then there's no room for anything that's noisy. There's no room. So if someone perceives you to be a bad person for asking very objective questions, like, hey, are you asking me on a date or are you asking me out as a friend? Like, that's a very mature question to ask. Like, humans really need to grow up. If they see you as being defensive or as you being abrasive for asking that, they haven't done their work. Because in my life, I only want to have people who are able to like have a mature conversation about things. And once we know we're going out on a date, like, yo, hold my hand, let's do this, you know? But there's nothing wrong with picking something apart before so that you can decide whether or not you want to engage with it. So the energy update I was getting for you guys right now is a lot of people from your past are going to be circling back around. Now, if they're people who haven't done their shadow work, why are they reaching out to you? Are they doing so because they're lonely? Are they doing so because they're discontent in your life? Are they doing so because they see your light and they're still reaching for their own potential? At that point, they may need to be your client and not a friend. You see what I'm saying? Like there's a distinction between a client and a friend, or a friend and a romantic prospect. So what energy are people giving off? And it's up to you to sit back and just kind of observe it for a couple of minutes. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes, and see where they're coming from. Everyone seems very happy when you first meet them. And then once you get into deeper conversation, they're like, oh, you know, my tire broke down the other day and I don't have the money for it. And you start to see their victim come up. All that programming starts to emerge or reemerge. You're like, whoo, nope, I'm out of here. Because everyone's really positive and everyone smiles when you first meet them. But what happens like 2 minutes into the conversation? Who are they? Don't you want to find out? Don't you want to align yourself with something that is of a like frequency? Haven't you worked hard enough? Don't you deserve to sit back now and be pampered? Or to have someone come in and swoop in and offer you something of a similar value? For me, this fifth dimensional existence is so simple. It's not difficult. It's very much about being in integrity. And I feel like I'm out of integrity if I ignore the questions, and then that could potentially hurt your partner if you're in a relationship with them. I don't want to be out of integrity with anyone. You understand? Which is why my initial gut was to ask this person who texted me from the car wash to ask, hey, are you single? Because I do not want to compromise my own vibrational stance. I want to be in integrity with everyone. And I do that by being of the utmost integrity within myself. It's not personal. This is about you operate from a new mentality. You operate within a new mindset. And humans go, oh, well, why are you being so cold? And what if I was busy this last year? And what if I couldn't reach out? Okay, I understand that too. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that maybe it wasn't meant to be. If we were meant to be, we would have met within a month of you moving here. It's not rocket science. So your guides are asking you to really open up your third eye right now, your spiritual vision. This is a time to implement everything that you've been doing. You've been working overtime. You guys, we've been doing the work. While everyone's out partying and getting hammered, we're like home meditating and lighting candles and saging ourselves and communicating with our guides. I just want to remind you today that you're here to be an educator to all these people. And you're not trying to educate them and impart knowledge to them. What it is you're educating by virtue of being the example of everything that you've already achieved, of the light that you've embodied, of the higher self that you've become. So am I going to throw people off a little bit if I speak my truth? Well, yeah, if they haven't done the work, but I don't want to be around that anyways. So the message coming in now is forward movement. Forward, not backward, forward movement. It's all about frequency right now. Your universe is mirroring to you every second of the day where you vibrate. And I've been in a space of opening up my heart more, connecting back into my vulnerability, because I love being vulnerable and I love being soft. But the reason I'm not always soft is because when I connect to my vulnerability or to my receptiveness or openness, I know how magnetic I become. I know. So since yesterday, I've been practicing it, and I've already gotten DMs. Someone's already asked for my number. So when I think that's the case for a lot of people. When you're open and receptive and vulnerable, you become like a match, and everyone sees your light. So for the last 2 years, I've been kind of the guy that puts on the baseball cap and sunglasses because I'm in a different zone, and I'm really like laser focused on my spiritual walk with God and accentuating my psychic abilities. So there's always a season for everything, and there's no right or wrong. Okay, there are different chapters, and the universe is turning the tide now, and is going to get you to go out and socialize more. But when you do it, are you doing it with the right people, with the people who are matched to you? Or are you going to reproduce every other result you've produced in the past? That's what you have to ask yourself. Are you going to recreate old narratives? And it doesn't matter what people project onto you. If they say, oh, why are you asking me questions? They're not ready to hang. It's not personal. I just want to know where you are. Are you in integrity? Are you in a relationship? Where are you in your life? And that way we don't waste each other's time, because I respect you, your divinity. So I want you to start picturing yourself as like this, the embodiment of the higher self. And when you step out of your door or your apartment every day, you're surrounded by people who are also embodying their higher selves, and then other people who haven't even begun to connect with their higher selves. So you're like this beacon of light walking around, and all these people are flocking to you like moths to a flame. And now you want to compartmentalize like who's connected and who isn't. If they're not connected, they're supposed to be your client, bottom line, or you're not supposed to hang out with them. If they have something to offer you, then they are meant to match up with you and pair up with you. Is this making sense with you guys? We have 1,000 people in the house. Woohoo! Is that making sense? My biggest message for you guys is I don't want you to think there's something wrong with you for being who you are. I love operating from my higher mind. I love being this guy who's able to see things from the overview first and make sure that I find my bearings and make sure that I'm in tune with what's going on, and then going, yes, no, no, yes, kind of like a dating app. I'm like, no, yes, but I do that with my life. And you have intuitive technology within you. When you work with your heart in conjunction with your third eye, you can see into other timelines. You don't need to necessarily play those out physically. You don't have to play them out physically. You have technology inside of you that will play them out for you. because your time is your most valuable commodity. And what's the point of going to waste your time with someone if your third eye has already shown you that you won't have a good time? What's the point? Save yourself the trouble, move on to the next and the next and the next. Just be in your now, and the universe will align it for you. Now, there's one more message I wanted to share. So, a lot of these people from your past that are going to be reappearing in your life, you're going to feel as though you're on a whole other timeline. Like, you're going to feel like you're on a completely different planet. Now, does that mean that you guys are not supposed to converge your realities and you can't promote a timeline merge? No, that can still happen. But what you need to know is that the most important thing to do in the beginning is to kind of test out the field or get a feeler for what's going on, and then gain a better or deeper insight into whether or not you can converge those timelines, which I thought was really profound. I got that today. So even though someone from your past reappears, we don't want to just shut the door on them. We still want to remain open. But then, as this higher self that you are now, that you're going to be embodying this entire month, as this higher self, you want to have integrity and feel out where you guys are, and then decide, is there a possibility for us to promote this meld or this timeline convergence? And if there is, and they're able to answer your questions and they don't get offended and all of these things, then of course those timelines can converge. Of course they can. No, I'm not really channeling right now. I haven't even meditated today. I'm like in my PJs. I'm like super chill. I'm just speaking as Phil. You'll know when I'm channeling because it's always like on a similar rhythm. And then as Phil, I can stumble on words sometimes because I get excited and then I get really passionate. When I'm channeling, I'm like a steady stream of information. And I don't do this with my hands. I'm just very like, cool, there's a cloud above my head and there's information raining on me. And I just kind of translate the information. So I hope that helped you guys. This was an energy update, and I thank you for subscribing. I thank you for liking, for being a part of this journey with me. And remember, there is nothing wrong with you if you are now stepping into your newfound frequency and you own it. But remember, the world outside of you, these outer reflections, are going to make you question yourself. The second they go, why are you being so this? Or why are you being so that? You're going to start questioning yourself. And what your guides are asking you to do is to not do that. We are truly like superheroes in human form now. That's what we are. And superheroes have to be vigilant. Superheroes can't necessarily be friends with the people they're saving. They do their job and they're out. Superheroes are on a tight schedule. They have things to tend to. They have a mission. You have a mission now. And I promise you that when you're forthright with people, when you're honest from the get-go, they might always remember you. You might imprint them with a memory that they'll never be able to shake off. There are things that people told me in my life, and I never saw them again, but I'll never forget what they said. It was a zinger. I call them zingers. Woo! They're a zinger. You know, the other day, I'm going to share this final story before I go. So the other day, I'm in Larchmont, which is my favorite place to hang out. I'm at this coffee shop, and this guy comes up to me, and he's one of those Jewish guys. I don't know what they call them, but they always walk up to you, and they inform you about their religion, and they're very nice people, very gentle people. And he walked up to me and he said, you know, every time I walk by you, I can tell you're legit because you look like a mystic. You look like you're completely there with your sunglasses and you're tapping into something. And I said, thank you. That's very nice. And he kept talking to me and he's like, you know, this is what we do. And I'm like, that's great. And he's like, you know, maybe we met for a reason today. And I said, And I gave him one of those zingers. I said, you know, you approached me because there was something you needed from this. I didn't approach you, you approached me, right? And he started talking about auras and like the brighter your aura, the more that the better your life is. And I said, you know, from my perspective, and I was just messing with him a little bit in a very loving way. I said, from my perspective, if you're the one who approached me, that means that your aura is still weak. And I saw his jaw drop, you guys. He's like, whoa, that's an interesting perspective. I'm like, yeah, you see me doing my thing. I'm not talking to anyone. And you felt a need to gravitate to me. Why? Because there's something that I needed to share with you, and it was for you. And I'm happy I was able to provide you with that information. And he walked away looking flabbergasted. And even though I'm sure he's going to continue with his religion, because he really had like a very sweet energy about him, even though I know he's going to continue with that, I know he will never forget that moment. And I didn't do it to like teach him, but I did it because I like to play. All right. It's not about feeling threatened and all these things. I just told him, yo, you approach me, that means your aura is still weak. And he loved it. So, which is also a sign of maturity. So that's it, you guys. I love you so much. And I will speak with you in another version of the Now. I love you all.